Hey everyone, welcome to the Royce Report. I'm your host Royce, and this channel is dedicated to mostly Xbox related news, but I do dabble in other gaming related topics and reviews. So if you think you might be interested in any of that, then be sure to hit that subscribe button. And today we're going to be talking about my review of Grounded. So let's just get into it. All right, Grounded. Now, Grounded is a game that came out last year in a early access state, and it is a game that was developed by 13 developers from Obsidian, and it was a passion project of theirs that they wanted to work on, and this is that game. And now that it's finally got its full release, I decided to check it out. I did check it out during its first early build, and I liked what I saw. I thought there was a lot of potential, but I kind of wanted to wait until they fully release the game to actually dive into it and see what this game has to offer. So let's talk about the story, the reason why you're doing the things you're doing. So the game starts off and you could pick one of 4 characters. These characters don't really matter in the whole grand scheme of thing. They're just they're pretty much an avatar for you to explore. So you have Pete, Willow, Max, and Hoops. Yeah, so you and a group of 3 other people can go and grab any of those teens and you could hop right into the game. And the way this game is structured is a lot like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. And if you are someone who's younger and hasn't ever really seen that movie, it is pretty much kids that have gotten shrunken down to be smaller than a blade of grass and get lost in the backyard. But this has a little twist on it. This is somewhat of a mystery. You have these kids who get shrunken down and wake up in the backyard, and they don't really know why they're there. And a part of what's going on is trying to figure out why you are small, why you guys are here, and why there's a bunch of crazy lab equipment that's really small everywhere else. And so a part of the story is trying to figure this out. And what sucks is I can't really get too far into it or give too much detail because it will spoil a lot. So I have to refrain from really talking about the story, which is kind of a bummer because the story in itself is actually kind of short. Like, yeah, it takes a while for you to go from point A to point B because of how much resource management you have to do, how much grinding you have to do in order to be sufficient enough to go and do those tasks that are required of you to continue the story. But in itself, the story, if you were geared out and everything and decided to go then task yourself to go through the story, it could probably take you less than 4 hours. So I can't really talk too much about it or else I will spoil it. And that's the downside to the story, in my opinion. A lot of people are saying that the story is really good, but in my opinion, this story is very, very generic. If I actually told you anything more than what I told you now, you could pretty much figure out where it's going to lead, and it's no real surprise to be had. What does make it fun, though, is that there's a lot of world building placed within the game itself and a lot of storytelling told through the environment. So as you're walking through the backyard, you'll see a milk carton with the missing teens picture on there that aren't the teenagers that you are currently playing. And so you start to question, like, where are those kids? Why are they missing? Why are they also around the same age as the kids that we're playing as? As you go through the labs that are scattered throughout the backyard, there are whiteboards that have drawings on them, have equations and little notes that are left by the crews that man these labs, and they kind of tell you what is going on. They kind of give you hints towards the other labs or kind of hints towards what's happening overall in the story. And there's also collectibles sprinkled throughout the game, which are kind of like files, cassettes, news clippings, little things like that you can find that are actually mandatory to get the backstory of everything, because if you don't go and you listen to those, you actually have no clue who the main protagonist is until you reach them, and then you're like, oh, okay, that kind of explains everything. So the backstory to everything is told through these collectibles, and also it tells you a lot about other things that happen in the world that you see that you just kind of like, oh, okay, it's because it's small, and you just walk off. Well, there's a lot of backstory for a lot of these things. So if you do want to learn all that stuff, you do have to go and collect all those things. You do have to listen to them, and they're just kind of there for you to digest if you're interested in that. But the story itself, in my opinion, is very lacking. There are highlights to it. There is a lot of comedy that is happening in the world. It is actually a pretty funny game, and I enjoyed a lot of the comedy. I had a couple of laugh out loud moments, and they mostly came from Burgle, who is your robot, not really robot companion, but the guy that tasks you with all of your quests. He is the quest giver, and he is a burger flipper machine that ended up getting retrofitted to be an assistant to a scientist, and now he lost all of his memories, and in order to kind of jog his memories, you have to go to different labs and pick up different cassettes that will then reinstall the memory banks and allow him to remember what you need to do next in order to become big again. And that's the whole point of the game. So this game is at its core a science. It's a science game. It's science. Science! This game at its core is a survival adventure, and I am not a survival adventure guy. I cannot stand those games. I am not good at Minecraft. I am not good at any of those. I can't even name survival games, because if I see that there's any survival element to it, I kind of steer clear of it, because I just don't like those types of games. But this is something different. Even though it is a survival game, they make it so fun and it's so addicting to continue to progress through the game, to continue to explore. And that's what's at the core of this game, is exploration. That is the key to everything in this game. The fact that you can just walk around and see the backyard and see things that you are familiar with and see them in a way that is larger than life is really fun. It's a really fun way of kind of exploring. And yeah, you can, like, you do have to go and hunt for food, and you do have to collect water. You have a stamina. You have bugs that are constantly trying to kill you. You have to build a base if you want to be protected from all those things. So yeah, there's a lot to it, and there's a lot of resources that you have to go and find in the world to build everything. So if that's not something that you're gonna like, I beg you to give this game a chance, because I am the same. I do not like those games. I am not a fan of those games at all, but this one is different, and because it's on Game Pass, you can just go try it out, and if you don't like it, then you don't like it. It's just kind of, that's it. Walk away from it. But with all that, there is a difficulty setting for you that you can use to alter pretty much everything in the game, and it's a very cool thing. Like, I'm gonna say right now that this game is hard. It is a hard game. If you are playing solo and not with friends, you are gonna have a really, really hard time, unless you're just really good at these sort of games. But the insects that you come across are so brutal early on that it kind of like makes you afraid of everything you encounter, because you just don't have the proper tool set to engage against anything. So with that comes a big difficulty slider that you can adjust however you see fit. So this includes, like, if you don't want to deal with starving, if you don't want to deal with having to constantly drink water, or if you don't like the fact that your stamina bar keeps decreasing whenever you run or jump or attack, you could change all of that and have pretty much all those things be non-existent. And you can even change the way the bugs are, the way they react towards you. So if you have, there's a normal setting where you're going to have different types of bugs that are separated from friendly, neutral, or angry, and these bugs react to you a certain way. So the friendly bugs, the ones that are harmless, those won't do anything to you. In fact, if you attack them, will run away. You have the neutral ones that they don't really bother you, and if you don't bother them, you guys are good. Call it a day and just keep on going. But if you do attack them, they will fight back. And then you have the angry ones, which will attack you on sight. And so you can change the dynamic between all of that by just going into the settings and having it to be where the bugs don't, no bugs will attack you unless you attack first, or no bugs will attack you, period. So the difficulty slider is really cool for people who just want to play a certain way. And there's also a creative mode, so you don't have to worry about having to go and collect all those resources. You could just build and build and build however you see fit. So that's really cool that they give you all those options. And something that's really rare in games that I've actually never seen before is a Arachnophobia Slider. So if you're scared of spiders, they have a slider in the game that removes some of the aspects that make a spider, and they kind of de-spiderfy the spiders in the game, which is if you're into that, if you're scared of spiders, then I don't know why you'd be playing a game like this, but if you are, then they have that filter for you. But let's talk about the biggest part of the game, which is the bugs. The bugs are the best part of this game. It is so fun to go and figure out what bugs you have left to see, because there are so many bugs in this game, and it is so fun to explore and see new bugs and new creatures. And each bug operates differently. They have areas where they hang out. They have special abilities that they all have different attack sequences. They all have different strengths and weaknesses that you could use against them. They have like a night and day cycle. So they're sleeping during the day. They might be sleeping during the night. They might come out only at night. They might be only around sprinklers. They might be only just in the water. They might be just in a one certain area of the bushes, or over there by the charcoal pit. There is just so many different areas in this game that only have certain bugs in them. So whenever you go and you explore, you have a chance of seeing something new. And because of the world being a miniature backyard, well, because you are inside a backyard, and you get to see everyday items bigger than they've ever been before, and it kind of gives you that sense of nostalgia for seeing all these things, because it does take place in the 80s. I'm not an 80s kid, but growing up watching 80s movies a lot and 90s movies, you get to see all the way that they kind of handle all that time period, and it's really cool to just like picture like, I remember being the kid and playing in a backyard with my army soldiers and thinking like how, bigger than everything else was. And so it's really cool to experience this, to experience what it was like in Honey, I Shrunk the Kids in a video game. And it's a really fun experience. And the constant grind that you have to get better gear makes you want to go further and continue to explore, because there's potential for you to find a bug that you might not have seen before, kill it, and grab its gear and go and run it and analyze all of it to see what that gear is going to offer you, and what kind of better weapons or better armor that you could produce, or even like things like better walls for your hut and everything. So the survival aspect to it, the exploration aspect to it, it is all handled very well. And because of the setting, it makes it so enticing to just continue to explore. Like, whenever I was away from the game, all I could think of was, okay, like, oh, I want to know what it's in that area. Oh, I want to know, like, if I could do this, like, if this lab is over here, like, what's in the lab? How is it gonna further the story, and what's going on at the core of all this? And like I talked about earlier, where the story's kind of lackluster in my opinion, but the grind for it, the pursuit for figuring out the mystery, that's what makes it fun. Even though that the mystery is kind of like whenever you do find out about it, but just it's not about the destination, it's about the adventure.
Oh, Sam.
And so the adventure to that spot to get to the end was really, really fun and really, really worth it. And even now, even though I beat it already, I just want to hop back in, and because I've done everything in the game, there's nothing really left for me to do. So I'm kind of bummed out. Like, I already want DLC. I already want new creatures. I already want new insects. I want new areas. I want them to support this game further, because I think they did such a great job just making this game and making this world, and they could have so much. There's so much potential here, and if they continue to support this game like they have been over the past year, I think they're in great hands. This game was way better than I ever thought it could have been. And I remember just walking into this game and just thinking to myself, okay, I'm not going to like this. I'm only going to play it because I'm waiting for a different game to come out, or just because I want to try it out with my friends. And I am so glad that I did. I'm so glad that this is on Game Pass and I was able to check it out. And I highly recommend playing with another person, because playing this solo is a completely different game. It is, in my opinion, not as fun as it is playing with a friend, because you're able to just say, hey man, like, you want to go and help me out and fight this boss, or you want to go, let's go down and try to find this lab or protect this certain device, and I need help with those things. Those are things that I just can't do by myself. And yeah, you can, like I said, change the difficulty settings to allow that. And I did play on mild. I'm not afraid to admit it. This game is really hard. I played on the lowest difficulty that I can, and we both died quite a bit. But it is necessary, I feel, to play this game with a friend, and I highly recommend doing that. Something that I haven't really touched on is the audio. The audio in the game is really good. It's just, typical audio setup, like nothing really crazy. But whenever it gets to nighttime, that's when the audio kicks into high gear, because how frightening it is to go around at night. If you do not have a friend with you at night, it is so scary. Just to be able to walk around and see the blades of grass start to shift and move and get misplaced by something big walking through them is a very scary thing to see. And as whatever it is coming towards you, you can hear the creature making noise. And so every creature has a different noise for it. So as you play, you'll be able to recognize which creature is what based off of the noise they make. But it does, if at first you really don't know. And so as it comes towards you, you don't know if this could be a ladybug, if this is going to be a wolf spider, or what it's going to be. And so it's very terrifying to just have this huge spider just break through the brush and just start barreling down on you and trying to kill you. And it is it's a rush. It is a rush. It is so fun.
It's definitely not a naturally occurring structure, unless crystals come with computers. My keen deductive reasoning suggests this is where it's coming from.
I loved every second I spent in this game. Yeah, I just want more. That's the only downside, is I just want more. Now, I know that this game was early access for a while and that it's now in its final release, but I have to say that I did experience quite a few bugs. No pun intended. But I did experience a couple of bugs in this game. I've had issues with desyncing a lot. Friends would just get kicked randomly from the game, or the game would just crash. But because the game saves frequently and often, it wasn't really too much of an issue. Just kind of hop back in and continue like nothing happened. I've also had issues with loot just getting stuck in things, bugs getting stuck in the environment, bugs appearing in my base randomly just showing up and just terrorizing my base, but it's not like it's not a group attack or anything. It's just a bug showing up. So that's just kind of weird and off-putting. Like it just sucks with that. I'll come back from a long journey and there's an ant in my base just biting all my fire pits or biting all my storage units and stuff, which it's just you just have to repair it, and that's all I could do. But I've had issues where you would just randomly die because of the attacks that you're doing were actually not attacking the enemy but yourself. There's a couple of issues going on in this release. Now, most of it has been patched out by now. I have read the recent patch notes, and they are continuing to support it, and they're continuing to fix all of those issues with quality of life things as well as the bugs. So they're continuing to support the game, which is awesome. I mean, I know the game just came out, so obviously they're going to support it, but they are pretty quick to react to a lot of these things that I did experience in my playthrough that have now mostly been patched out. But with that is pretty much everything in a quick nutshell of what I think of Grounded. So overall, I just have to say that this game came out of nowhere for me. I know that it was been a year in the making for this game, ever since it released last year in early access, and I haven't been following it since then, just because I just wanted to experience the whole thing in its final complete glory whenever it finally released. And it did take me a while, but I was playing this game a lot. I survived like 135 days in the game, in game time. Not in real time, I don't really know what that translates to, but 135 days in the game. Me and my friend were able to get through it, and it was a blast. But again, I highly recommend playing this with someone else, because it is a completely different experience than playing solo. Because of the huge difficulty spikes that you will be encountering when you do play this by yourself. So you definitely, in my opinion, you need to customize the difficulty for yourself, or have a friend near you that can help you out. There's a lot to this game, and if you're really into that sort of base building element and you're really into exploring, this game is a must play. I can't recommend this game enough. A lot of people I've heard about talking about this could be a potential game of the year contender for them. I'm not really sure. I haven't really played a whole lot of games this year, brand new games, so I don't think it's that high in regards, but it definitely did catch me off guard. I will be giving Grounded a B+. So with that, I highly recommend checking this out on Game Pass if you haven't. It is just, if you have Game Pass, it doesn't hurt to try it. But if the game isn't for you, then it isn't for you. I know I was in the same boat. Believe me, I am not a fan of survival games, but if you aren't, this is probably the perfect game to jump in and to experience it, and to see if you truly are not a fan of these type of games. And if you are a fan of survival games, I think you will love this game. And just the fact that the insects itself just make it super fun. So that's it for the day. I appreciate you for stopping by. I appreciate you for listening. And what do you guys think? Do you think that Grounded is a game of the year contender? Do you think that Grounded should be considered a part of one of the greats of 2022? And if you have played it, what do you think? And what was one of your favorite moments in the game? Let me know in the comments below. I really do appreciate you guys for stopping by, and appreciate every single view and like. So if you like what you saw and you'd like to see more, then please hit that subscribe button. So yeah, stay safe this holiday season. I hope you all have a great Halloween, and I'll be seeing you guys on the next one. And remember, take it easy.